So just before we begin your UX review, I just wanted to take a moment to say that this application is one of the best applications I have been able to review or work on for a long time. There are key elements within the user process, the onboarding process, that you just sort of nailed really well. So this is not just about suggestions, but this is actually about the things that are working really well within your process. So to make sure you keep going with those. So let's begin. So I want to take a step back from the onboarding process and actually take a look at kind of your front of store, so to speak, the actual app store itself, and take a look at some of the key points that you've got highlighted and kind of the target audience that you seem to be going after. So straight away, there's a really nice, clean look and feel to the application on the App Store. I can see there's a lot of kind of pinky colors being used, which are not used in the application, which is interesting. Maybe this is just to stand out from the other applications, because obviously blue and purples are very kind of overused within the App Store. So it's good to be able to have that kind of diversity with your colors. What is also clear is that you're targeting women within your application, which is completely fine. So if you are looking at men and women, it might be good to diversify some of your imagery and videos. But if you're using this method and you're bringing in a large number of women into the application, then continue to do this. It's really good the way you've been able to not just have screenshots of your application within those panels, but to be able to have little sort of nuggets and showing the value of that application, which is really good. Also of note is the number of reviews you have, which is fantastic and all very close to 5 stars as well. I mean, to have 444 reviews at any level is excellent, let alone to have almost 5 star reviews across the board. So make sure you highlight those throughout the application process. Now, I know you do have testimonials, which we'll take a look at shortly, but you can also have a little reference to the larger volume of happy users as well, which will get a few more people over the line. So let's take a look at the onboarding process then. So first of all, these are the two screens that you come across as you open the application. The one on the left is shown for about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and the one on the right remains until you've made a decision whether you want to log in or you want to register and get started. So that one on the left is actually quite a really nice, impactful visual, and it's also one of the first times they get to see your applications and your brand logo in action, and it only lasts a very short period of time. So it might be worth just extending that little intro to maybe half a second or a second more, just to allow to be able to open up and read and then move on to the next step. And the reason I mention this is because the first 2 times I opened the application, I actually completely missed what it was trying to tell me. It kind of came up and just disappeared very quickly and left me on that second screen. So maybe potentially just add this a little bit more time to it so we can just read those words, which are quite impactful, see your logo, and then move on to the next step. On the second screen, it also would be nice to keep that logo visible to us, because during the process you rightly kind of remove it from the flow and just allow the colors to be the brand voice. But this screen is a little bit of real estate in that sort of top left corner, just to potentially just have your logo visible, maybe the reversed color version, just before we move on with registering or signing up. So here's the sort of user experience of the onboarding process. I must admit, to be fair, it was fairly seamless. The number of times you sort of removed submission buttons and progress buttons. Not only is it a clean user UI, but it's a really stylish one as well. So really nicely done with how the headers are displayed, how the copy is contained, that tiny slight underline underneath where you're adding in data. Very nicely done, really, really nicely done, and use of grays throughout as well is really nicely done. From entering my name to putting in my email address, and in this last screen, which is again really nicely done, you've got this nice visual, it's a nice animation, and it shows that kind of connection between the application and the Apple Healthcare system on my phone and in their greater network as well. And obviously, because I've got the visual of how that's going to look, which is obviously very different from your application, having that visual, tapping the button and seeing exactly that representation to just click allow and then move back through the process seamlessly. I wanted to highlight this screen because it's a really great and important screen to be able to take a look at, because this is kind of midway through the sign up process and you're just giving me that reassurance that I'm on track, I'm on, this is still worth my while continuing. You're giving me a little insight as to why and how I'm being asked additional questions, and it's just a really nice screen to just say really well done on this. So the last part of the registration or onboarding process is these sort of three core questions. And what's nice again is that I've got this visual representation on the top of the screen that shows me how far I am from completion. And as it fills up, obviously I'm completing the process. And again, because there's no submit button, the answer is the submit button. It makes the whole process just seamless, easy to answer the question and move on to the next screen. The notification screen, again, very similar to the Apple Health screen, where you've given me a little visual of what I can potentially receive over time, and you've given me an option to be able to skip that as well. But enabling notifications was seamless, very easy to do. A lot of applications just sort of throw it straight into your face without giving you any kind of warning or any indication as to why it's beneficial. Here you've got an opportunity to be able to tap and have that notification be accepted on my terms, on the user's terms, which is an excellent way to be able to do your user experience. So these next two slides are really kind of indicate some of the screens that show the value over and over again of what the user will receive once they take that action, take step, step into that test period, and then be an eventual payer of your application. So we've got obviously what's inside the application. What's nice is also the range of people and trainers at different levels that are going to be able to have that message and have those programs and courses within the application. So it's really good. That second panel, that second screen, shows obviously the success stories. So this is really nice to be able to highlight and just show how real people are benefiting from getting past that next stage, being brought into the process. They are actual customers and they're using it to the full. And they've obviously given 5 stars there. And it would be nice maybe to just have that indication of the larger volume of those happy customers as well, as you mentioned in one of the previous sections. Here again, just showing the volume of content that we're going to be able to have access to. The imagery is very clean, showing very strong, powerful women. Obviously, talking to your target audience, but really clean. The whole process and application shouts that this is a premium product. By no means does this feel like a cheap or a free application. So I think it really does match up to the price point that you're going to put on the user. So here's that screen kind of initially just before the screens that we just took a look at, which kind of gives you like a little highlight and a flavor and a flow of what's going to be on the other side of once you actually take action and make that choice to step into the trial and then into the paid versions. And what's nice about this screen that has the all important pay button is that you haven't cluttered the UI with lots of different elements and bits and pieces, but you've given them just a very clean, another sort of statement from users, from real people, and just have them sort of discuss and talk about why it's beneficial to them and then just left the button again uncluttered to be able to step into the all important page that you want as many people to see as possible. That's obviously your business. Um, and obviously, Apple take a good care of how this UI is dealt with. But what's also nice is that the background is not cluttering away from the call to action, which is just to take those initial steps and get moving, and become part of the program, which is excellent. So again, overall, the from the App Store to the onboarding process, it's seamless. Excellent use of sort of brand colors throughout. So you didn't burden the user with different barriers. You didn't burden them even with your own logo being in the way. You showed value. You gave them sort of uh, content to be able to try out and test and see the flavor of the kind of quality of training and workouts they're going to get, and that will ultimately obviously send them over into becoming a paid customer. So overall, an excellent user experience and UI. Again, there's a few little tweaks, but overall, a brilliant service and a brilliant application.